Good afternoon. Welcome on the, I think it's ninth presentation in frames of redirecting East conversations. And today we are invited to a conversation by Alireza Labeshka from Tehran, Iran. Alireza, who has been educated as in theory of art and literature, and who used to write and organize exhibitions as freelance, but for a year already he is running his own gallery in Tehran called RAF. And this gallery is his another, as far as I understand, research and critical enterprise, because this gallery is supposed to fulfill a certain function in critical autistic discourse that, in Alireza's opinion, is missing from the contemporary art scene in Iran. So today's presentation will be a kind of personal and critical insight into the recent history of discourse on contemporary art from Iran. So the floor is yours.
Thank you. Thank you for coming to my presentation. It was really hard for me to gather information, and it was really hard for me to start from a beginning point, because even if we want to speak about contemporary Iranian art, we have to refer to visual cultures of Iran at least 200 years ago from there and to this period. This presentation will be full of pictures. I think that the pictures will speak with you better than me, for sure. And I just gathered in a way that can be meaningful for you. About RAF, Anna said that yes, there are some unrealized projects, and I did my best to promote artists who has not such a chance to actually contribute to Iranian art scene. So I won't begin with this quotation by Hans Ulrich Obrist from the Manifestos for the Future. I see unrealized projects as the most important unreported stories in the art world. As Henry Bergson showed, actual realization is only one possibility surrounded by many others that merit close attention. There are many amazing unrealized projects out there. Forgotten projects, misunderstood projects, lost projects, destroyer projects, realizable projects, poetic utopian dream constructs, unrealizable projects, partially realized projects, censored projects, Iran, and so on. It seems urgent to remember certain roles not taken and in active and dynamic, rather than nostalgic or melancholic way, transform some of them into propositions or possibilities for the future. So remember this quotation. I will come back to this quotation later. I begin with the visual resources which had important effect on the practice of Iranian contemporary art. Some residents here and some of my friends saw these pictures, some of them before, as an introduction to my presentation here, but with a short review, I will continue my presentation. We are living in an Islamic country, most of them Shiites, 97% of people at least in the ID cards, are Muslims, and it's a culture, it's tradition, and we know some elements maybe you are not familiar with. So I begin with Islamic icons that I can see, at least in them, innocence, submissiveness, heroic, athletic, the importance of water, for example, desert, Ashura Day. I don't know, you know Ashura Day, one of the important, most important days in Islamic culture, Judgment Day, and men. So we will see the pictures, and here one traditional with unknown painter. He is Imam Ali, the first Imams of Shia and even Sunnis. And you can see the bravery, athletic kinds of gesture or kindness. And even lion can, be actually tamed by his power. Again, this refers to the Ashura Day, his child being killed by enemies, and we can see in everyday life in common streets. So again, we can see injuries on his face. They are very familiar in Tehran, or maybe in Iraq or Syria. You can see a woman, attaching some money to the picture of Imam Hussein, and that's enough for. And we have influenced by these kinds of paintings, these actually Islamic icons. We have a kind of movement which is called qahwe khane, or cafe paintings. We can see the narration in them. Again, Ashura Day, Judgment Day, again men. And they are very busy pictures with some men. And if you will be familiar with them, you can not interpret it in one day. It's maybe the narration of, for example, 1 week. You should start, for example, top left to and come to the result of the story. They have their own narration. Again, you can see the picture of, for example, Imam Hussein, or Imam Ali or Imam Hussein and his brother Abbas or Abul Fazl. And there are so many pictures and related to the religious stories, their kindness, their battles, their manner of life, their attitude. And you can see even here the bad guys who are living in hell, for example, the Judgment Day, or again, all of them are full of stories, and here we have not enough time, and this is not our topic. I want to introduce them to you, to come back again to them, and how contemporary artists use these elements in their works. We have also traditional calligraphy, which is really exciting, and it's profitable for for example, Arabs in the neighbor of Iran. They are abstracts, and they are formal artworks. And you can see, for example, they are related to the, again, literature or Quran, our religious books. Just having a review to them. different types of calligraphy. You can distinguish the types. And we have also miniatures, which are again related to the literature. They have narration in them. Even you can see in them the, poems. And one of the elements is that they lack perspective. And this is, character of miniatures in Iran. Mentioning, for example, the battles of kings, their power, or traditional parodies, or stories, and there are some points that we should consider in them. For example, it seems that Iranian visual culture had been always depicting women with chador or something like that. But you can see in traditional miniatures that the women are nude, for example, and they are living in the castles or of kings or powers. This, for example, miniature refers to the some love poems, and it's related to about 100 years ago. And even you can see again the stories of, for example, Prophet Muhammad, and the story of going to sky or meeting with the angels, and this story. And after these traditional kinds of arts, we have Qajar, realistic photographs depicting the real common everyday lives of people. And we can see hats, car, new technology, fashion, and the beginning of depicting women. And the story began from here. And Qajar period is really important because the king always traveled to Europe, which is called Nasir-Din Shah, King Nasir. And this is the first encounter of Iran with West. And we are actually facing with other, or maybe for the West, they began to produce an other Iran. So in contemporary arts, we have so many references to this period because we are always comparing ourselves with the West. There is an other, and this is the beginning of, for example, using camera as an art. And you can see here women has chador. And I downloaded from website, and they censored the feet of the women, and they are very old. Again, gradually you can see that their chador is fading away. Even mullahs with women who has not chador or something. This is interesting. Fashion, the beginning of fashion in Iran. Car, technology. So, they are just, I want to again mention that they are all introduction. We will come back to them again. About 1960, when the period of modernism in Europe ended, Iran began to import some modern theories for practicing art. And as I said before, for my friends, they were searching for a language which is Iranian language. They wanted to show Iran as a, absolute, concrete entity, not having effect of, West. So they began just use the theories, not the forms, not, for example, actually figurative paintings, for example, or realists, or just they took the form from the modernism. And they began to start actually pay attention to the icons we have in Iran. And they found water station, which is called Saqakhane we call, very interesting, because in them they could find Islam, calligraphy, and other things related to it. So this is the real Saqakhane. It means water stations, as I said. You can see above the picture we have some calligraphy. You can see again here, it's not a vivid picture, but you can see the picture of Imam Hussein again. And all of them has pattern like this. Again here, here, or here, or here. And the right sculpture is one of the most important, symbols of Saqakhane movement, which has been affected by the form of Saqakhane. You can see the pattern, again, calligraphy, or I press the button slowly so you can see the effects of, visual effects of real Saqakhanas. This is zoomed. And, they paid attention a lot to carpet because it's Iranian, art. They even depict Saqakhane in their carpets. You can see here that form. And again, some kinds of calligraphy here. It is written here, Ali, the first Imam. And in the realm of painting, you can see again the mosques and the people who are going to do something, for example, religious job or something like that. And this is the depiction of Iran. Mosques, people. And here again, we have calligraphy, we have the form of mosques here, Even we are speaking about love. Again, calligraphy and shapes of Sagakana. And for example, Mr. Kalantari, who is a well-known painter, produced some kinds of paintings. The material in them was soil, a kind of soil. And as you see, they are related to the villages that they are typically Iranian. So I showed you just some pictures about Iranian visual culture. So after the revolution, I missed some part. I deleted some parts because we had, for example, revolution. We had some artists working for the government. They producing the propaganda of Islam and actually attention to the poor and workers, or the medium was wall paintings mainly, and after the revolution we had a war, 8 years war, and the art related to the praising martyrs or the story of defense. So there is not such a big deal with this kind of art produced after the revolution. We reached here the reformist period when Muhammad Khatami won the election. The reformist period, and it began 1997. We had in this period assignment of Mr. Sami Azar as a director of Museum of Modern Art in Tehran, and he began to collect some paintings from Sagakana movement artists, paying attention a lot to promote them again internationally, because the Islamic managers and directors or curators, if there was a curator, had no knowledge of, for example, curatorial studies or something like that. So they had to respect, for example, Mr. Sami Azar, who had a interest to Sagakana movement, which is related to 50 years ago, before the revolution. So I wrote here supporter of Sagakana movement artists, and the youngs encounter with a freer newspaper, freer galleries, freer art galleries or museums. So they began to learn, and in this period, I think the internet came to actually Iran, and it was a chance for the youngs to see Europe. And from here, the dilemma, a kind of facing with the West again become permanent, become a very important issue. And I wrote here tradition with modernism, because youngs could see another world through internet or through satellite, and they couldn't bear for example, a story of Sagakana movement or religious elements or such things. So again, Qajar period, which I showed you the pictures before, revived. Those women who were depicted in the Qajar photographs again was the subject and was the theme of the artworks. So again, we can see here, they questions previous, visual culture of Iran. So we can see that this is a work, this is not a religious work, this is showed in New York, in Heller Gallery, and instead of the face of Imam, we can see the face of a girl. She is girl. And you can compare these two pictures, and we began to criticize, our visual culture. It depends to the religion. So here again, can you remember the pictures of Imam in the beginning of the presentation? So a woman. I know we can see these artworks through the lens of, for example, feminism, for example, or queer theory even, I don't know. It's up to you, but in a context, I think that the artists are criticizing religious kinds of artworks. And again, this is the first night of a woman and man after the marriage, which is very important in Islam, and had some stories, and you can see the naive face of, a religious person who is coming to his wife, and you can see the paradise and the importance of marriage in Islam. And actually, the artist is criticizing again the religion. Again, here is paradise with full of women singing, drinking. Again, the story of Quran depicted here, but in a humorous way. And I told you about this a kind of painting which was called as cafe paintings. And again, we can see here, for example, some army members depicted here, or we can see contemporary faces in these kinds of paintings. This is not related to 100 years ago, and this is a contemporary art. Even in the realm of photography, we can see a mullah and his private life. And you can see here, again, the picture of Imam Hussein. Can you? I zoom it. In this period, artists began to criticize the importance of men in previous artworks produced in the periods of, for example, before revolution and patriarchal society who gave more importance to men instead of women. So we can see again with humorous language, artist tries to show the importance of men and their character here, again, and comparing them with imams. They are kind of athletes who are, for example, saying religious things before the practice of, a sport. the painter is Khosrow Hassanzadeh, who has so many, who has so many positive criticism in magazines, but also nowadays I think they found that it's not a genuine works of art to, comparing, these days, these period to those old days, because the society changed a lot, but they are insisting to show a culture for men. Yes, this is, but not in a way that you can see here. Again, you can find some religious icons here. And even you can see the miniatures, the mixture of them. It's really, I think, it's really easy to sell your artworks in Tehran. You know why? Because if you know the visual culture of Iran, and if you produce a work which has so many, more is better. If you use more elements from previous periods, it's the better art. Because you have the knowledge, but I'm revealing the story for you. But the audiences, the ordinary audiences has not actually the memory, visual memory, to find out that why the collectors buy this. The buyers, the collectors are mostly from the previous regime. So they want to see the, patterns, the icons, the motifs from previous Iran. If you are speaking about today Iran, if you are speaking about modern Iran, you should criticize it. Because because this society is not enough mature. It has so many problems. You should show the problems of the society and referring to the old days and show that Iranian society is traditional nowadays too. So this is